Good afternoon. My name is Rodney Pilson, and I'm the Manager of Family Services for Carolina Donor Services, now known as Honor Bridge. Thank you so much for joining us for this year's Donor Family Tribute. We are here today to honor all of you and your loved ones who have said yes to organ, tissue, and eye donation. During today's program, we will hear from Danielle Neatfeld, President and CEO of Honor Bridge. We will also hear from donor families who have walked a similar path to your own, and from organ and tissue recipients. Even hear from a person who is currently waiting on a life-saving gift. You will hear from our dedicated Honor Bridge staff and hospital partners who have worked so hard to care for your loved ones and their incredible gifts of life. We will also get to see our two newest donor quilts with squares decorated by many of you and photos that you submitted of your loved ones. We are here to remember and honor them. The tree design behind me symbolizes the impressions that all of us leave on the donation community. It represents the organ and tissue recipients, the funeral directors that we work closely with, our hospital partners, Honor Bridge staff, our board of directors, the medical advisory board, transplant surgeons, medical researchers, and our DMV partners who register people to be donors. And most importantly, it represents you and your loved ones who have left an impression in this world that will never be forgotten. Now, I would like to introduce you to Danielle Neatfeld, President and CEO of Honor Bridge.
Thanks, Rodney. Hello and welcome. I'm Danielle Neatfeld, President and CEO of Honor Bridge, formerly known as Carolina Donor Services. Thank you all for joining us. Our Donor Family Tribute is perhaps the most significant and meaningful service we hold, and we appreciate all who are here. Welcome to all viewers, including members of our Board of Directors, Medical Advisory Board, hospital partners, Honor Bridge staff, and most importantly, welcome to our donor families. This service is for you to honor, thank, and pay respects to the decision you and your loved ones made to say yes to donation in the face of great sorrow and loss. We hope you find this service meaningful and that you know how much we value you and your loved one. Many of you have noticed a big change. We are now Honor Bridge, building upon the legacy of Carolina Donor Services. The name Honor Bridge speaks to honoring our donors' lives and their families' grief, their memories, and their decisions. Additionally, we are bridge builders and connectors. We build bridges of hope and purpose for donor families and connect grieving families with much needed support and ways to connect with their loved ones' recipients. In this manner, we build a bridge from tragedy to hope. Everyone here today is a significant part of Honor Bridge, and we welcome you. Each year, we take this time to focus on our gratitude for our donors and their families. This year, and from now on, we're also including our families who said yes to donation, but whose loved ones, for various reasons, were unable to donate. Though the actual donation and transplantation may not have occurred, your willingness to say yes is still honorable, worthy of recognition, and greatly appreciated. We welcome you and thank you for your support of donation. To all our donor families, we acknowledge your grief, your loss, your pain. In the time of your despair, you chose to say yes to donation and bring hope, life, and healing to others. We at Honor Bridge share your grief and thank you. It is our hope that today's service will bring comfort in your healing journey.
My name is Andrew White, and my sister was an organ donor in 2016.
My name is Danielle White, and my sister-in-law was an organ donor in 2016.
My sister Carolyn was a very kind and caring person. She was also very strong and very independent and did not take grief from anyone, and is something that I very much admired about her. She also had a sleeve of tattoos, all from Calvin and Hobbes comics. She was very in tune with those comics and just loved tattooing them on her body. And the sleeve she had on her arm was just incredible, and the artwork that she had was just amazing.
I think the best way to describe Carolyn, or CJ as we called her, was fiercely independent. I think she just never really asked for help. She was very much like, if it's something that I want to do, like I do it. And I think I just remember before she passed away, she was really into gardening. I remember she took a job as going and helping out in gardens and was really loving that. And my husband said, she was such a kind soul. She was a wonderful big sister and was a sister to me. And I think she just had such a big heart.
Well, my sister was the first one to introduce me to the Beatles. So she and I sat down in my room and listened to a greatest hit Beatles album and just listened to the whole thing. And she was always looking out for me. She was always including me. And I always very much appreciated that. She was older than me, but she made me feel as though I was her little brother, but I was still very much included in that. And just the fact that she introduced me to the Beatles, I can, never repay her for that.
For me, I think one of my favorite memories with CJ was the morning of our wedding. Obviously, she was in our wedding party, and she had to get there 8:30 in the morning to get her hair done. CJ had these really long dreadlocks, and she wanted to get her hair done. And so the person doing hair for the wedding, this was a 5:30 wedding, and she had to get there at 8:30. Not a morning person. And she shows up, and she was just in such a great mood. And me and her had such an amazing morning together. She was like, well, how should I do my hair for the wedding? And I said, well, I don't know, however you want to. And she started to Google bridal hair, and for whatever reason, I don't know if she spelt it wrong or Google just decided to be funny that day, but images of women with their hair in shapes of horses, riding bridal, came up. And me and her just sat there probably for an hour, just hysterically laughing at all these images and how could she do that with her hair? And I even remember later in our wedding pulling Andrew aside and being like, I just had such a great day with your sister. It was what a moment. I don't have a sister. And to know that I was joining that family and finally having a sister, and that was such a wonderful day. And I'll always cherish that.
I think the decision to make the donation was one that I know brought, I know for a fact it brought my father a lot of peace. I think it brought him a lot of closure. And it almost softened her passing. Mm-hmm. So I think that, I know for him specifically, it was very helpful in the grieving process.
Yeah, I just remember it being such a long time, not even just because, we decided to do organ donation, but just, anytime you have a family member that becomes unexpectedly critically ill, it's long, it's drawn out. You don't realize emotionally how you're just almost not functioning. You kind of go into a survival mode. And so your kind of days and times run together. And I just remember for us, once we knew that she was going to become an organ donor, and we were the day when all of that were to take place, I remember Andrew and myself were sitting on the air conditioning unit outside of her room, which we weren't supposed to do, and we got told many times, hey. Sitting there, and I looked at Andrew and I said, what an experience this is. For us, this is a moment of terrible grief. You're losing a loved one, and it's just this weird, moment. And we just kept thinking about how for all these other people, for them, they're getting ready for a second chance at life. And as much as you would think that that would bring you such sadness, it was this little bit of joy in such a difficult moment. Just to know that, and it was actually on her 31st birthday that she was able to give the gift of life. And I think that is absolutely beautiful. I always had said, yes, I'd be an organ donor on my license, but it kind of ended there. Then after that process, I actually went on to the website to actually sign myself up as an organ donor because I didn't want there to ever be a question about what my intentions were. I think during the whole process, we actually got letters from two of the recipients, and they were both in their 20s. And I mean, at the time, we were in our 20s. And to know like that somebody was faced with such adversity at that age, and they shouldn't have to be, was incredible to know that they get like a second chance at life now. And for me, I had always been toying with the idea of going back to school for nursing. And after this experience, I said, yeah, I think I should. You know, I think it kind of puts a lot into perspective for you. And our nurses during that process were hands down some of the best nurses that I've ever met. And I strive to be like one day. And so I quit my full-time job and went back to school. And I graduated from UNC this August. And I'm going to be working in an intensive care unit that will be taking care of heart and lung transplant patients. And I just feel like so incredibly honored that I get to do that. So I think the tree to us, if we've talked about it, represents the greater impact that one person can have on someone's life. One person, when I see that, I see this, one person is able to touch so many lives. So in our sister's case, 5 people are still living today because of her decision to be an organ donor. And there are so many more people that also got, you know, skin grafts or were able to use bone. That's so powerful. And when I see this image, that's what it reminds me of, is the power we have to make life-changing decisions and to be organ donors.
Yeah, and to me, it also represents all the people around the recipients. Again, their friends, their family, who are, again, they get to enjoy life with this person because they are a recipient, because their lives have continued for 5.5 years later. So that image, to me, also represents the friends and families of the recipients. I know for me and my family, I think the fact that she was an organ donor brought peace. It really helped us through the grieving process. And I would say that I hope that other donor families are experiencing that as well, that they are helping the fact that their loved one was a donor and gave gifts to others, and that they think about that during the grieving process.
My name is Julie Wyatt. I used to be Julie Johnson. My son, Anthony Johnson, passed away in a motorcycle accident in 2016. And then I had the opportunity to do something for others, donating part of his body, his heart, lungs, and kidney, help him stay alive in some way, and others continue their life. So it's all in the big plan. Anthony was always outgoing. Since very little, was an outgoing little kid, always smiling. And when he was in high school, he and 3 friends were start training to go into the military. And he was the first sergeant of those trainers, of those other 3. I don't know of 2 of them, but I know one of them went to be in the Marines. And he actually came to my wedding last year to represent my son Anthony. That was such a dear moment for me, having him there. He always encouraged me. He have this thing of say, Mom, have courage, have courage. And I never knew why until after he was gone. And I then hear his voice again in my head. I hear, have courage. About the nations and Anthony, he would not even hear nothing about dead or being dead. He was 20 years old. 20 years old don't think of that possibility. So he have never, ever talk about that or the possibility of donating, I will never expect it to he been gone before me. So that's something that happened at the hospital when he was in coma on the bed, and I something just perked me in that moment to you have to do something bigger than just lay down here and let him go. There's something that can be done. If you decided or your loved one decided to be a donor and you're struggling with not just the passing away of your loved one, but also the donation, I tell you, see the donation as a continuation of the life of your loved one. It's not he continue living or she continue living, but another person too. It's part of this person continues on. And maybe you be lucky enough one day to meet one of that person. Like I met the recipient of his heart, and that was a dear moment. He let me listen to his heart. Even if you don't met the person, know that part of your loved one is still alive. It's still his cells are there, even if it's tissue, if it is the bone, whatever part it is, it's still going on. I think it was a firefighter received his one lung, no, sorry, no, one kidney and a liver, and a young lady about his age received the other kidney. And she wrote me the most beautiful letter telling me that she was engaged and she have a young child, but she had been to dialysis and it hurt so bad that she have said, I don't want to continue doing dialysis. So in her mind, it's like, I probably will pass away. And then this miracle happened that the kidney was available for her. And she asked me for a picture of him to put in her house because she said, when we're going to get married and he's going to be in the center of our house because he saved my life. And I said, well, honey, he didn't save your life. You have his kidney continue living. So, and there's a lady that write me that she received bone and they were able to reconstruct her back because she had born with a colitis or some um, problem in her back that make painful to walk. But said since I think she put in the letter 3 months and she had the operation and now she was walking for the first time without pain. And this is like 2 years after he had passed away. I received this letter, so he's still helping, and people still making him live in other ways. Anthony was such a bright young man that um, I really think I needed to do something that go beyond because he was always going beyond. So this for me is like making go beyond his possibility. And I remember him helping others all the time, especially if he saw a weaker, a child that has Asperger's in school become his best friend because he needed help. His girlfriend, Mom, you need to help her. I'm like, okay, what's the situation here? Everything he sees the possibility to help someone. So he's still helping. It's just who he was. So that's what I can say about him and how I end up donating because it was so obvious the way he lived his life that helping was. And so many uh, in young people that lost their life and their parents don't know what to do. If you see yourself in that opportunity, think about giving that young person, you're not going to have your son or daughter again, but that other person is going to continue to have life and your son or daughter continue living on them.
Each year, families are invited to decorate a piece of fabric in honor of their loved ones, to be included in our donor family quilts. These amazing quilts are displayed in our Honor Bridge offices as well as in hospitals all across North Carolina. This is one of the many ways that we wish to continue to honor your loved ones and the sacrifices that they and you made. If you have not done so already, please consider creating a quilt square for next year. In the information booklet that you received, along with your donor family tribute invitation, includes instructions on creating a square, and the information is also available on our Honor Bridge website. And now, I'd like to present to you our two newest quilts, which include squares that many of you sent to us last year. We thank you for allowing us to honor your loved ones in this way. Following the two newest quilts, you will see several donor quilts from previous years. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Latanya Jones, and I'm a liver transplant recipient. So when I was diagnosed with primary sclerosing cholangitis at the age of 15, I was startled and I was also afraid because I had been a star athlete in high school. However, I knew that my doctor told me that I had 10 to 15 years. So when I thought about, the longevity of life that I could live, I knew that I would be able to go to college, complete college, and eventually start a life. And so over the course of 12 years, I was in fairly good condition. And it was in 2016 when I became very ill. And immediately after receiving my life-saving phone call on February 13, 2017, of course, I notified my parents, and they were ecstatic that um, probably because they wouldn't have to continue to take me back and forth to the hospital, and that this would finally be the surgery that would give me the quality of life that I had been praying for. And I remember calling coworkers because they had, of course, they were very concerned about my condition. And I notified them that, I was heading to the hospital. And I remember the ride on the way to the hospital where I just began to replay the last, 12 years of my life and being sick and, worrying about when I would actually, be healed and get my life-saving phone calls. So when I finally found out that, someone said yes to being an organ donor and that I had a match, it was so life-changing just in that moment. I mean, I knew that the surgery would be big, and I know it was a very important surgery. But I was already thinking about the future that I would live once I was transplanted and once I was on my way to recovery. So there was a lot of hope in my heart and a lot of bravery because, I mean, it was not an easy task, of course, because that's a big surgery for anyone to have to undergo. But I was hopeful and I was very excited. Immediately when I woke up from transplant, I remember looking down and seeing the breathing tube down my throat. And I remember seeing my sisters by my bedside and my family members by my bedside and the nurse who stood over me. And I smiled. And I remember hearing the nurse say, "Oh, look at that smile." And I didn't feel any more pain in my joints that I felt before my surgery. So I knew then that, the surgery was a success, but I knew that the recovery road was long ahead. But I mean, it was just a complete fulfillment of just joy, although I felt a lot of pressure from the incision point. But just to see the smiles on the faces of the people that surrounded me in that room that day. So, since my transplant in 2017, life has been completely fulfilled for me. I mean, from now I'm running 6, 7 days a week, running 8 and 10 miles. I actually recently completed in the World Transplant Games and I came in second place. I received a gold medal. I continue to run, I continue to diet to take care of my body. I enjoy the work that I do. I'm involved in the clinical research industry where I get to travel. I get to spend time with my family, with my friends. I've bought a house. So, I mean, all the things that I ever dreamed of, while being sick, I'm actually living out that dream. And it's such a wonderful feeling. And I'm so grateful and so very thankful. So, unfortunately, I have not had any contact with my donor's family. I did try to reach out a couple times, one time when I was in the hospital recovering after transplant, and then another time, it was about a couple years ago, but I haven't had any contact yet. I hope to do so one day. However, if not, it doesn't make me any less thankful. I'm grateful for my donor, and if I could say one thing, I would say thank you, and I hope that the life that I live now um, shows you how thankful and how grateful I am. Okay. So when I look at this tree, when I look at the trunk, it reminds me of the one person or the donor who's made the decision to become an organ donor. And when I look at all of the hands or the branches that sprout from the trunk, to me it's a representation of the lives that are impacted. Not only just the recipient, but it's the recipient's family, the recipient's friends, the recipient's support system. Also the hospital staff, the staff here at Honor Bridge and the work that they do. Because if it was not for that one donor who made that ultimate decision, none of the growth that sprouts from the tree would be possible.
My name is Nicole DeFiris, and I work at Cone Health Hospital. So I'm a nurse. I'm connected as a nurse, and I'm also a patient that received tissue donation. I was diagnosed in 2017 with breast cancer, and I was stage 2. So I was going to go through several surgeries, the first one being a bilateral mastectomy. And apparently, when they remove all this tissue from you, the best way for you to heal is if you have a tissue donation to help in the reconstruction process that started with your initial surgery. And my surgeon asked me, did I want something artificial or was I open to accepting tissue? And being a nurse, it's always best to have something natural than something foreign in your body. So I was very grateful that someone would be willing to donate their tissue to me, help me heal better. I had so much support in terms of family, friends, coworkers. I cannot speak highly enough of my friends and really the units at Cone Health. They had parties for me. You would think my first surgery, it was a big party in my room, banners, baskets, balloons. I had people with me at chemotherapy. We celebrated when I was done chemo. We celebrated before I had my first big surgery. I was just very fortunate. So prior to even becoming a nurse, as soon as I could, I wanted to be a donor myself if anything happened to me. I always have felt strongly about it. And then, of course, as a nurse, you see many cases, many circumstances where if a family would donate, it can help so many people. And it is the most touching thing to have your family make that decision in such a challenging time for them. And then, of course, as a recipient, I just couldn't be more grateful for that. Thank you and your family for just your selflessness, for your willing to give to other people and make such a difference in their lives. Because I can only imagine if I received that person's tissue, I'm sure many other people benefited from it. And not just the patient themselves benefit, it's their families. You know, you're helping whole families and friends of theirs to heal with that person. So the outreach is just has such a great impact. I think it's beautiful. I don't know what the intent of the symbol is, but to me, the hands went all the outward reach. So this one person is donating, but it's touching so many lives. It's touching lives of the nurses and surgeons that work with that patient and family. It's touching the people that it actually receives a donation. And like I say, it touches everyone that is a part of that person's life because you're assisting all of them. The outreach is so impactful. I hope all the donors and donor families know that. I just encourage anyone out there that I understand that when you have a loss, it is a extremely challenging time in your life. And sometimes it's just so overwhelming. But if you can try to think of how could I make this better? How could this have some type of positive outcome? Donation is the way. It's a legacy for your family member. And the amount of good that you can do for people's lives is just incredible.
We realize that despite all efforts, it may not always be possible to recover, transplant, or place gifts for research. Yet there can be no success in saving and healing lives through transplantation without people like you, who open their hearts to offer the gift of life. Donation begins with yes. In the midst of your grief, you said yes to giving a stranger a chance to live. Without knowing the outcome, you said yes, we must try. When you said yes, you allowed possibility to conquer despondency. Mr. Scott Burton and Dr. Bradley Collins, in two distinct ways, both believe that saying yes to donation has the potential to change the course of someone else's life. On behalf of those awaiting a life-giving transplant, their families, the donation and transplant community, and Honor Bridge, thank you. We are forever grateful that you said yes.
So I'm Scott Burton from Pofftown, North Carolina, just outside of Winston-Salem. I'm a lifelong kidney patient. Was born with a blockage. Doctors gave me 2 days to live. And then they kind of just wanted to get me big enough to be able to take an adult kidney. Didn't expect my birth kidneys to hold out very long. I think the original expectation was about 2 years. They held out till I was 12. Went on dialysis at 12 and spent 4 years doing dialysis, waiting for a transplant. Got my first transplant in '99, deceased donor. Never really a good match. It worked for 4 years, but it was a difficult 4 years. And then went back on dialysis January of 2003, and have been on dialysis since, waiting for another transplant. Waiting's difficult. Um, Patience is definitely something that is hard to find at times. I have not gotten any false calls. In 19 years, I am pretty much an impossible match. So, I guess I haven't had the, false hope in that sense. Um, I have had, probably upwards of 40 people get tested, with nobody really coming close. So really, it's just a waiting game. And, it's trying to not think about it, um, and kind of put energy in other things and, really just live each day to the fullest. And, if it's meant to be, when it's meant to be, it'll happen. And until then, it's just kind of one day at a time. So a little bit about myself. I mean, obviously, dialysis is a big part of myself, and my kidney disease is a big part of myself. Going back on dialysis 19 years ago at the age of 20, obviously, I kind of had to adapt my life. Was able to finish my undergrad degree in film and video production, and then kind of jump into the marketing and PR realm, working with business consulting and clients. In 2016, I launched the Forever's Tomorrow Foundation, a local nonprofit committed to raising awareness for kidney disease, specifically utilizing video and social media, and basically giving patients a place to tell their story, and build it. Hopefully, over time, we'll continue to build a resource for patients to find hope through other stories, and then also the general public to kind of gain more information. And then most recently, I mean, finishing, going back to grad school, getting my MBA, and, as far as that, hobbies, I paint, I write poetry, I've published one book of poetry, have about 5 more that may someday get published, we'll see. Um, try and keep myself active in community and arts, and just taking one day at a time. The first thing that needs to be said to donor families is thank you. Um, Obviously, thank you is just words. You can't really put into words the impact that saying yes to donating really makes, but it's a small start.
During my career as a transplant surgeon, I've been humbled having met donor families. Your sacrifice, your generosity has made such a difference in the lives of so many. Children have been able to graduate from college and have their own families. Adults have been able to see their children grow and see their grandchildren. Your gift will not be forgotten.
At the rising sun and its going down, we remember them.
At the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them.
At the opening of the buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them.
At the blueness of the skies and in the warmth of the summer, we remember them.
At the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them.
At the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them.
As long as we live, they too will live, for they are now part of us, as we remember them.
When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them.
When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them.
When we have decisions that are difficult to make, we remember them.
When we have joy we crave to share, we remember them.
When we have achievements that are based on theirs, we remember them.
For as long as we live, they too will live, for they are now a part of us. We remember them.
En el amanecer y en el crepúsculo,
los recordamos. En el soplar del viento y en el frío del invierno, los recordamos. En el florecer de los capullos y los nuevos brotes de la primavera, los recordamos. En el cielo azul y el calor del verano, los recordamos. En el susurro de las hojas y la belleza del otoño, los recordamos. En cada año que comienza y cuando termina, los recordamos. Mientras nosotros tengamos vida, y ellos también vivirán, ya que son parte de nosotros, porque los recordamos. Cuando estamos cansados y necesitamos fuerza, los recordamos. Cuando estamos perdidos y descorazonados, los recordamos. Cuando tenemos que tomar decisiones difíciles, los recordamos. Cuando tenemos alegrías que anhelamos compartir, los recordamos. Cuando logramos éxitos construidos sobre sus logros, los recordamos. Mientras tengamos vida, ellos también vivirán, ya que son parte de nosotros, porque los recordamos.
Each handprint on this tree symbolizes a part of the donation community. It is a community of compassionate and selfless people who have left an impression in this world that will never be forgotten. For those of you that registered in time to receive the Donor Family Tribute Package, you will find an art print, ink pad, and an alcohol wipe. Using these supplies and the instructions in the package, I invite you and your family to add your fingerprints to the art print as we remember your loved ones and their impact on this community. I hope you enjoyed our time together today and can feel the love and support surrounding you. Thank you again for joining us for the 2021 Donor Family Tribute. A video of this program will be available for you through our website and other social media platforms so that you may share it with your family and friends as you wish. Our program is coming to an end, but please always know we are here for you. In closing, I now present to you this year's Donor Family Tribute slideshow. Take care.